So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2025 Horoscope. Tried making this earlier, got emotional because every time I used to make a video, Yash used to sit right there, you know, way towards the end. Um, but it was the most beautiful ceremony I gave him when I buried him at my cabin next to my office there. Eve was there, Togi was there along with my family, and the most beautiful thing occurred that I know nobody will believe it, and I didn't want to take a picture of this moment. That when I was filling up his grave, with the soil, and he had all these roses on top of him. As me and my wife were filling in the uh, soil, one single flower just somehow stuck out from all the rest of him while it was nothing but soil, but it was just sticking out up above. And I'm like, okay, I gotta take a picture, but I'm like, no, not gonna take a picture of this moment because I want that personal right moment right there. And it was an omen of love, pure love. You know, lot of other omens occurred. He used to sit at this one spot, always at the cabin, and out of all the light bulbs there, that one light bulb was flickering a lot, which actually my wife showed it to me. Many of those things occurred. But yeah, it's been difficult. You know, he was the reason why I created this channel because we were in such poverty when I got him. I made a decision 2 a.m. in the morning that, you know what, buddy, I'm going to take you and I out from this thing. Let's see if this works. And so he was the reason behind Kara's channel. Anyway, so 2025 horoscope, and as you know, I've uploaded each ascendant on Kara's vlogs on Maga Vedic Astrology Academy. Literally, each ascendant is almost 25 to 30 minutes, 20 minutes long. It's long. Okay, so I've done it up to Sagittarius. I'll upload Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces by tomorrow and Friday, so you'll have all the ascendants there. So as you know, in 2025, all four major planets are making a transition literally within a month period. Saturn will move from Aquarius to Pisces. Jupiter will go from Taurus to Gemini. And Rahu, Ketu will be in their respective signs of Aquarius and Leo. Ketu will be in Leo, Rahu will be in Aquarius. Okay, and especially there are these two phenomenons occurring where the double transit of Jupiter and Saturn will be upon the sign of Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is like literally very concentrated. The other two signs that become actually the other sign that becomes very strongly infused is Aquarius sign, because Rahu will be in Aquarius, and then Jupiter's ninth aspect will be on Aquarius. So Aquarius becomes very concentrated. Now, the phenomenon you have to understand is that Jupiter is going to be in Mriksara Nakshatra in 2025 all the way till I believe June 10th or 11th, where it will switch from Mriksara to Ardra. And Mriksara, as you know, is one of the parts of Vishnu Trimurti, of protection, sustenance, and preserving. Okay, so wherever that Jupiter is on an individual level, show that that particular house preserves itself and the things connected with that preserving. And Jupiter is naturally the Jataka, the Jiva Atma, the Jiva Karka, like you and me. We have our Jiva inside, right? Like Yash had Jiva all the way till 9:35 a.m. And the moment I felt that last heartbeat within 5 minutes, not only the body became cold, but it was very strange that with his body, the rigor mortis set in very quickly, like it was just hard rock body, and he became really, really heavy because, of course, the vata left, the air left. So it was left, nothing was left except earth, the heaviness. So the prana is us. Okay, so usually you will see on a mundane level, on Taurus, we will search for preserving pleasure, preserving the good times, preserving that comfort that feeds us. And when it's not there, it disturbs our being. Because we're right now, as Mriksara, in a mode, well, right now it's in Rohini, but in 2025, when it's in Mriksara, we're going to be like, I want to preserve what I'm dealing with. Like, for example, if you look at just this single person like me, I want to preserve this life being with me forever. But I know I couldn't do that. It was the part of life. Okay. So it's in certain cases with other individual aspects and transit, of other planets, it can disturb that desire to preserve it. Okay. Some people will be preserving, like usually an individual in the Mriksara part for the first 6 months is going to be very much focused on wanting to just indulge themselves into the pleasure of that material sustenance, right? And those are the things then that will upset you. They upset you. Why are they going to upset you? Because Jupiter's Jiva and Jupiter's karma in Taurus is related to death and transformation. It's related to death and transformation. Why? Because from Taurus, Jupiter's Sagittarius sign is the 8th. And 8th is what? Ayush Karka. The one that gives longevity. Okay? And because Jupiter goes into 6th from itself, we find it hard to maintain that preserving of that Vishnu's energy. Okay? And this is why it upsets us, because we want to preserve it, but Jupiter's like, I'm having a hard time here. Preserving the Jiva, which is in the 8th, and the Jiva source is now 6th from itself. It becomes a bit of an obstacle, and this is why also, naturally with anything that we want materially, it makes it hard for us to sustain it, or we have to work really hard. We have to deal with the obstacles, because without obstacles, you won't be able to sustain this side of the Mriksara. Like even right now, searching for your truth becomes hard. It feels like it's an obstacle to find that truth of why things are happening, how things are happening in our life. Now, when it enters into the Mriksara side, it'll be directly opposite from is Jiva sign of Sagittarius. This is the part of Mriksara, between May and June 10th, I believe, will be able to now suddenly start showing that, let's ease your struggle to give you that conquest, that search for that conquest that you want. And naturally, when Jupiter comes into the sign of Gemini, okay, overall, Jupiter is going to be focused on desiring to communicate the higher perspective through a lower level. So an individual like you and I will try to talk big talks, the higher educational talks, in a very simplified, dumbed down manner. Because Gemini becomes the student, the child of that Jupiter. Gemini is where there's too much scatterness of information. And so here, Guru, that is there in Gemini, is going to begin to make sense of it by giving something higher to other people in conversation, in talks, but not in a very complicated manner, in the most simplest manner. Making everything simple in life. Like, for example, anybody will say that I have the most accurate astrological system. I have the best astrological Ainamsha, this and that. And whenever you hear that, you got to run the other way. Why? Because anybody can make great predictions if you have the greatest seed of Jyotish, which is intuition. In that case, you could be a Western astrologer, Chinese astrologer. You'll get way better reading than somebody who's a Vedic astrologer and stuck with that, stuck with those rules and regulations and belief system. Then, oh, this is the accurate system. So here from Sagittarius, you have to convert that into Gemini. You become more liberal. You become more open to the opinions of others. So you will see even people who don't necessarily want to communicate on a broader level will want to give some message. There's also duality in Gemini. There's a dual nature in Gemini. 1 minute, one side comes out. 1 minute, a feminine side comes out. The other minute, masculine side comes out. And so here, Jupiter, which is the psychologist, the strategist, finds it hard to stick to a message. One message converts to the other, and the other message converts to the opposite. So on an individual basis, we'll see this a lot. We'll change our belief system a lot. We'll change the fact that we didn't mean what we just said. We actually mean this. And especially when it enters into Ardra till I think August 11th. Ardra is the Shiva Trimurti. It's not a Trimurti of destruction, it's the Trimurti of bringing something new. Like a conveyor belt. So if this was the old, pushing forward, the new one is pushing it forward and it goes down. So now, this new thing is what the Shiva Trimurti brings. So here in Ardra, and remember, Rahu is trine from Jupiter, who's the nakshatra lord of Ardra. Right? Not the nakshatra lord itself, but just by the Vimshotri Dasha system. But not even that is because Rahu is also infusing Jupiter. It's going to say, your communication must now break the shackles. Enough of being diplomat, enough of being, liberal about everything. You say what is right. You say what needs to be said in order to save something. And we all have our own versions of saving something and what we believe is right, where the other person will say, then this is what I think is right. But in your own individual place, it will show that the old ways is not going to work. Of communicating, discharging information, collecting data. You're going to have to take the most different, unorthodox, unconventional approach in order to get to that point. Because Rahu is the one who fights for the unprivileged and the small person against the regal authority. So in our personal life, it's going to make us more of a rebel. But how is it going to make us a rebel? That depends on the house-to-house situation, which I have described on my Kapiel vlogs for each individual ascendant. And then Jupiter is going to be looking at Rahu in Aquarius. And Rahu in Aquarius becomes very rebellious. Activism becomes very, very active. So you will see a lot of people will be charged towards focusing on activism of what needs to happen, what needs to change. We don't know if it's right or wrong, but Jupiter's motivation is going to be there. Like, yes, go speak. Yes, go in that march. Go protest. And so it could be something as simple as a child protesting against parents because the parents are not letting this child go to some European trip. And they really want it, and they're going to take that rebellious activism approach towards wanting to convince parents that, hey, you got to let me go. And also in Aquarius, tremendous amount of newish technology gets activated. And it's the technology for our convenience. But like I told you, Rahu in Pisces, when I made that Pisces video, that Rahu in Pisces naturally will deal with a lot of otherworldly things. But it also shows the crux of why it's doing what it's doing. Because after the entire 18-year cycle, it comes to Pisces and said, this is why I did what I did, which I actually talked about in my photography and AI video, that how everything is just saturated. I mean, I see better special effects on some iPhone made video on Instagram than I would have seen from DreamWorks or Paramount Pictures. It doesn't mean anything anymore. You can create the greatest action movie with the iPhone 16 and you don't have to go on theater and pay money to watch something. But now its values is not there. And so what this is going to do, this shift, because Rahu from Pisces is going towards humanity, Aquarius, the human. People are going to desire non-CGI movies, non-CGI shows that give me that real human substance. I want to relate to something real now. So whether you, let's say, for example, watch movies like Steel Magnolia, Fried Green Tomatoes, Color Purple, all these movies without special effects, just heart and human connection, this is what going to transpire through the medium of technology. You're gonna see slowly people will just be fed up with this. Like, it's just too much. You won't be able to trust anything online. Between now and like literally next year, I don't even say 10 years. Between now and next year, whatever you see, it can look the most real and it may not be real. And that's where the brain will search for that real connection. Because the Jiva is looking at Rahu in Aquarius. Then at the same time, Saturn is going to move from Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra in Aquarius side to Pisces, then into Uttar Bhadrapada for the rest of the year, right? At the same time, Jupiter is going to go into Punarvasu in Cancer, then retrograde back within a few days. So Punarvasu, shows that the rebellious approach that you take and that unusual approach that you were taking related to the house that your Jupiter was transiting in. Aditi, the light giver, shines that light upon that particular house. It says, I'm going to bring back this light that you were searching and fighting for and were rebellious about. In Punarvasu, Jupiter, like especially you will see a lot of like natural desire for preserving things come about. Meaning to preserve nature, to preserve reality, to preserve the things that makes us who we are, outside of computers and cameras and, AI and coding. And so I would probably say give it till August onwards is when this breakthrough will come about. And Saturn naturally represents what? Your karma. Saturn is our karma, its profession, and globally represents all of us. Because there's this elite, which is the sun. Then there's Saturn, all of us who are just working and trying to pay our bills. So with Saturn coming in Pisces, the first thing that I'm going to say wherever Saturn sits, try not to desire things related to that house. Okay. Because what happens is Pisces is a sign that is about letting go of things. Okay? Because if the 11th house is our desire, 12th house represents the loss, which originally Pisces controls. What the energy of the 12th house says this. So let's say if all the 12 signs have their own gods, and they do. So the Pisces sign, when you desire something there, it says, oh, you're desiring this? All right, let me dissolve it. Oh, you're desiring for a great career. Let me dissolve this. Its job is to dissolve. Okay. One of the tricks with Pisces is, especially when the planet of karma comes into play, either you don't desire or you desire the opposite. Like, for example, for Gemini ascendant, as an example, Saturn is going to be in the 10th house. So a lot of Gemini, or it's not even Saturn has to be in Pisces, everybody's desiring for career success at every single moment. But specifically in Pisces, when you desire, you feel this utter disappointment. Like, okay, I was hoping for a promotion. I was hoping for my bonus. I was hoping for this new job that was right there. Didn't get it because it was in Pisces. So one of the things is to use reverse psychology with Pisces. Meaning, if Saturn is in Pisces, and let's say it's in the 10th house, just say, whatever, I'm just going to work. Whatever I have, it's perfect. I don't want anything more. I don't want to excel in my career. I'm just going to do a job that has been given to me, and that's it. No need to excel right now. So what's going to happen? The God there takes your message and says, oh, you don't want anything better in your career to happen? Let me dissolve that. Here, take the opposite. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It requires a complete training of the subconscious mind. Okay. Like, for example, in Cancer, Saturn brings this karma, this activation towards wanting to find a teacher, a guru, or desiring for that perfect relationship with the father. Okay. You want the perfect relationship with the guru and the father? Let me dissolve it. So if, let's say, a Cancer person says, I don't need gurus, don't want anything, I'm good. My relationship with the father is bad. It's my karma. No need to improve it. I'm happy where I'm at. So the energy there says, oh, you don't want the karma to improve your father? Let's dissolve that as well. And here, in exchange, I'm going to give you a better result with the father. Train your mind. Now, with Purva Bhadrapada, okay, which is the Brahma Trimurti, the desire becomes to create, like right now it's in Sattavishak, but in 2025, up to like May beginning, it'll be in Purva Bhadrapada on the Aquarius side. Meaning, naturally, a person wants to create something substantial. Not even want to. I shouldn't say want, because Saturn is not about need or want. That would be Jupiter. This is just karma. Karma is saying, let's create. You got to create something new. You got to bring something new into your life with the actions you're taking. And it's across the board. It's not like depending upon the sign or ascendant. Okay, it's across the board. And Bhadrapada is that energy that breaks things down. It is that, it's that actual, it's like, imagine if you had a Kundalini awakening, Imagine you're expanding that 20-minute Kundalini experience to 80 years. You're seeing every little thing that's taking place in your spine, in your cerebral cortex, how everything is happening in a very slow manner. That is what that energy of Bhadrapada represents. Like it's that process. You're seeing the process happening. It's not what's after the process, it's the process happening. It's the death of yourself. This is why Bhadrapada represents the end of the the funeral cot, the bed at the funeral bed. Like you're dead. Whatever you knew, whatever you were, that's it, is done now. You're coming to your original self that it was. So especially in Bhadrapada, we have this notion towards breaking things down, like wanting to break free of our current confines, in our karma. Or it's not something we want, it just naturally is just taking place. And when it gets to Uttra Bhadrapada, which will be the remaining of the year, in this particular place, which is the Vishnu Trimurti, and it's also the place of Arya Padanya, the deep sea serpent, of the holder of secrets. You don't know what's in the chest underneath. It is that chest that is a holder of secrets. So what happens with the Saturn when it's in Uttar Bhadrapada, you want to keep things silent. Meaning the first thing in terms of career would be keeping everything related to career a secret. If you're going to manifest something, don't start beating the drum. I'm going to manifest this. Manifest it, then beat the drum. If you know the promotion is coming up, don't start talking about it with people around you. Oh, I think my promotion is going to happen soon. Because then the sheen of that is taken away. Because you're in Pisces, the dissolving, and Uttar Bhadrapada says, keep things hidden. So, a lot of times with Saturn in, Uttar Bhadrapada, a lot of things a lot of like conspiracies begins to churn around the world. Okay. A lot of themes connected to the inner workings begin to bubble up. Yet you can't know because it is being hidden. But you're seeing some resonance of it, you're seeing the smoke of it. And Uttar Bhadrapada is actually one of the Lakshmi Nakshatras. It is the one that grants you immense wealth, great wealth. And on the other side, it can even take you to abuse that particular gift that has been given. And because Saturn represents all the local people, the public, us, usually in Uttar Bhadrapada, a lot of deceiving informations can come out. Something which is reality is not being shared, is something else that is bubbling up and showing as reality. But in our personal life, we can control what's happening around the world. In our personal life, it is something that we have to keep things in wrap. You don't want to go up to your boss and say, well, I'm thinking of changing my job, or I'm getting this offer. Because then the sheen of that offer disappears. You want to keep it until you know you have signed that thing. That's it. You're there now. Now, if you have to talk, you have to talk. But you don't want to give hints when Saturn is in Pisces. And of course, when Saturn is in Pisces throughout, it shows the natural dissolving of the karma. There is this natural lethargicness that becomes active with Pisces. Like usually people will just be exhausted, fed up of the things that they have been doing. And they want to kind of take a rebirth from this frustration. which is why after Pisces you see Aries. The action, reaction, energy, willpower, all those things become active. So this is like more of the time of resting, but most importantly, keeping things a secret. Not want to express the fact that, let's say I was talking about the ninth house. Don't start expressing, oh God, I wish I had a guru. Oh, I want to get a guru. Oh, I think I might have met my guru. None of that. Just leave it as is. Keep it to yourself. That's how, then Saturn will work beautifully for you in Pisces. And as I told you, the double transit of Jupiter and Saturn will be upon Sagittarius, which is warmongering, strategies, fear, control, psychology. This is actually more important than even like thinking about a Sagittarius as the sign of religion. Actually, if you look at it, most wars happen because of religion. Religion becomes very strategic, how to control people. Religion gives you the law and rules and regulations. Where, of course, the spiritual life is that one that finds freedom from all of that. So, especially when Sagittarius is active overall, okay, in the world you can see most definitely brewing of, war, which is we already are seeing resonance for the past 2 years. But that Jupiter and Saturn double transit on Sagittarius triggers that particular part. Where the individual part, I've already, like I said, discussed it on my, Karis vlogs. But because if you even look at the symbol of Sagittarius, it's a warrior with a bow and arrow on a horse. And he's ready to just strike something, right? Ready to strike something, some goal. Okay, so the Jiva and the karma allows it to release that hand and send that arrow. And it goes with speed. Meaning it's not just about strategy and action both at the same time. Okay. So this is something I just wanted to discuss. And also, it's funny, in my text with Sandeep, my friend and astrologer, he texted me. I'll show it to you on the screenshot here. He says, you were talking about the aliens being disclosed and Rahu being in Pisces and all that. And you see the whole drones issue that is happening. I'm not saying that it is. It could just be military, drones. They could be especially searching for some, kind of substance that can only be seen at night. Whatever it is, plutonium, radium, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I really don't think aliens are going to come in that way, and especially New Jersey, of all places. But disclosures were happening. But it's just something I never even said, but I just said it out. Again, nothing to do with specific rule of astrology. It's like that intuitive thing that you see when a planet is in some sign. It only comes through rigorous sadhana that you do. Okay. But it's not something I'm there. But these things do pop up quite a bit for me. Which I actually discussed in one of the ascendants. I think it was actually today's ascendant Sagittarius. I discussed something, where I see things and I will say it, and somebody was showing me the chart. So, but anyway, this is our 2025 horoscope. If I find more things intuitively and all that, I will discuss that And there's a lot more because, of course, we're missing the transit of Mars. Mars and Sun are those triggering points that will trigger things, especially with Shani. But it's too much time for me to discuss all that.